Hey everybody, my name is Kelly and I'm an addict. Not only am I an addict, I'm a grateful recovering addict. And I thank God for the opportunity to be present and to participate in my recovery. And one of the biggest miracles of today was I woke up to see this day. I don't go to church like, I ain't gonna say like I should, but I don't go to church, but I believe in God. And that's my higher power. And I'm nervous. I'm really nervous, because like the hardest thing for me to do is to come up here and talk about me. Today, we celebrate 9 months clean. And that was only possible through God and the 12-step fellowship. I'm a proud member of Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm not afraid to say that to anybody. And jail and homelessness is a part of my story. I've been in every prison in the state of Delaware, and they put me in programs to try to get me to come into recovery, and I bought in just enough to get out of the system, and then I went back to my old ways. In 2009, I had made a decision to get clean, and I got clean, and I had 3 years clean. And I said this, I've been thinking about this all day, like, what am I going to share when I get up there? But like, this is part of my story, so I'm going to share it. And like 2012, December 16th, 2012, my dad died. And my dad, when he passed, had 25 years clean. And he was a big part of my recovery. He did a lot of things in the community and in the process of Narcotics Anonymous. And so, he would have literature laying around the house, and I would look at it and walk on by it because I wasn't ready. But on December 16, 2012, God had another purpose for him. So, he passed, and I'll never forget this because, like, when he passed, there must have been like 150 people showed up and stood outside the house in the rain to support, and, like, it was just one of those things where, people would ask me, they would say, "Are you okay?" And I would say, "Yeah, I'm okay." But truth be told, I was dying inside. And, people were reaching, but I wasn't reaching back. So, like, I got to remember that, because I'm quick to put judgment on what Narcotics Anonymous is or what a 12-step fellowship is or what it ain't rather than what it is. And I shared this the other day because I went to, with my sponsor, guy was celebrating, and I pulled up, and there must have been like 60, 70 people outside, and I immediately, like, oh my God, I don't know any of these people, and that fear came over me, right? And then, like, I had to catch myself because, like, they just like me. They just searching to get another day clean. They don't care what I have or what I don't have, but how they can help me get another day clean. And like, and I'm a firm believer in that, right? And like, I've been working more towards like service work being a part of my recovery because I think that's important for me. It might not be for somebody else, but for me, because like this thing was so freely given, and like I've taken away from not only my life, but I took away from my family's life. I took away from my community, So today, I choose to be part of the solution rather than a part of the problem. And, I'm all over the place, but like after my dad passed, about 14 months after that, my mom passed. And my mom had cancer. And she worked in the health field. And so, like, she knew what the effects of taking the medication would do. And so she was already stage 4, so she chose not to take the medication. And at the time, I had 2.5 years clean, right? And I moved back home. And I was supposed to be moving home to take care of her. And in the process, she ended up taking care of me. You know, there's certain things, like, for me that, like, I grasp to and I gravitate to that helps me get another day, you know. And one of those things for me is to help another addict. You know, I had to come to a point to where, like, I get up every day and I look in the mirror and I give myself 3 positive affirmations. You know, that helps me start my day. When my mom passed, I was in a motel room smoking crack. And my brother called me, and it was like 8:30 at night, and I wouldn't answer the phone because my brother doesn't, like, he don't make phone calls. He normally don't answer phone calls after a certain time. And so, like, when he called, I knew what it was. I didn't answer the phone, and I sat there and I started to cry. And when it took me about an hour, I got myself together and I cried, and I called him, and he said, "Man, you need to get up here. Mom's dying." And in the same breath, he said, "Cut the chase. You missed it. She's dead." And I sat there and I cried some more, and I smoked more crack. And when I finally got up to the hospital, I just felt like I hadn't lived up to the expectations of what, you know, I should have been doing or what she might have thought of me. And I carried that guilt and shame for a long time. And like, it took me this long to get back into recovery and to figure out that, like, you know, I just made some bad choices, that I'm not a bad person. You know, and like, I used to say that, like, I suffer from depression. I no longer suffer from depression, but I have depression. And, like, you know, I had to seek some outside help to help me work through it, you know, because, like, one of the biggest things was, like, I had to just admit to myself that, like, you need some help other than just the alcohol and drugs, you know, because that was just a symptom of what I was going through. Because early on, I had a hard problem identifying, like, who I truly was, you know. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, and I'll never forget that, like, my first day, my freshman year in high school, I sat down with my white friends to have lunch, and all the black people were looking at me, and they were pointing and saying, like, "Why is he sitting over there with them white people?" You know? And so from that day forward, I never sat in that cafeteria and ate lunch again. You know, through Narcotics Anonymous, you know, and I developed a you problem. So, like, through Narcotics Anonymous, I've been able to understand that, like, I don't have a you problem, I got a me problem. And my addiction is not what I eat, it's what eats at me. And, you know, like, the word surrender means a lot to me. I carry that a lot because, you know, and I've heard this a lot today, like, I can, he can, I think I let him. You know, one of the other things I stand on is that if it's not spiritual, then it's not practical. You know, because any time that I have something in my life that doesn't allow me to feel the freedom of recovery, then I need to let it go. You know, and like, and I haven't been with a woman in 9 months, and, like, some days I think, like, man, but you know what? I got to remind myself, like, do you know what her favorite color is? Do you know what her hobbies are? You know, when you talk about having an intimate relationship with somebody, you know, like, I'm not there yet. I work on it, but I don't think I'm there yet. You know, and I just thank God, man. I just thank God, you know, because today I don't feel okay with not being okay. And I say that to say this because through all the homelessness, like, I was okay with being homeless. I was okay with it. You know, and I have a cousin that's a pastor, and he tried to help me. And I'll never forget this because he got me into the Hope Center. I spent my time at the Hope Center. And then, you know, after that was up, I really, truly didn't know what I was going to do. And he never asked me, or he never said to me, this is what you should do, or this is what you got to do. He just asked me, what are you going to do? And so I made a decision to go to Bowling Green. And I went to Bowling Green, and I started to feel some of the freedoms that recovery offers. You know, I left Bowling Green, and I went into CCD, Community Collaboration in Delaware. And, like, you know, I did the IOP and, you know, just did a lot of work on myself to, you know, like really looking at myself, right? And, like, and to be honest with some people and tell some people, like, what's going on with me today. I had a surgery done about 2 months ago, right? And they put these balloons in between my disc, C3, 4, 5, and 6. And I was scared. I was scared to death. And usually when I get scared, I want to run. I don't want to face nothing. And so, like, I faced this, and it was like I had another decision to make. And the decision was to go through this operation and not use any narcotics, right? And I can remember sitting in the room some days because I had to wear this brace around my neck, and I had to wear it 24/7, 30 days. And, like, I remember sitting in the room and saying, damn, this shit hurts, and I'm crying and everything. And, like, you know, as they say, this too shall pass. It passed, you know. And so I was able to get through that without using any narcotics, and I feel good about that. That was something that kind of uplifted my spirit to that, like, I can do anything through Christ, first and foremost, right? And, you know, I'm going to say this, right, because sometimes in recovery we get so serious about some things that we forget to laugh, you know, and I had to remember how to laugh, right? And so, like, my dad used to say this thing. He said there was this guy that had a trailer full of papers, and he's going down the road, and one of the wheels falls off. Along comes a preacher, and the guy's cussing and fussing, and along comes a preacher, and he says, don't cuss, say praise God. So they put the wheel back on, they go a little farther, 2 wheels fall off. Guy's cussing, he's kicking up a storm. The preacher says, praise God. They go a little further, 3 wheels fall off. Same thing happens. So they get a little further in their journey. All 4 wheels fall off, the papers fall off the trailer, and the guy said, praise God. The trailer levitated, the wheels went back onto the trailer, the papers went back onto the trailer, and the guy said, praise God. And the preacher said, damn. Yeah, man. So, you know, I'm grateful. This is an opportunity for me to stand up here, man. And like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful to be up here. Zach has helped me come along in my journey as far as serving. And I've noticed that, like, when I go out and serve, it increases my spirit, right? Because, like, when I think less of myself and more of somebody else, then it makes me feel good. You know, I say this is like for me to decrease so my life can increase through Christ. You know, I'm really grateful to be up here. I really am. You know, whatever I go through or what anybody goes through, you don't have to go through it alone. You know, and like I said, now I focus more on what a 12-step fellowship is rather than what it ain't, because I can be quick to identify myself out, and I don't want to do that today. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to end it right. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but it's the old saying that my dad used to say, Narcotics Anonymous, in 10 words or less. Flop, flop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. Thanks for letting me share.